guys, so today's video is going to be a week 1 postpartum update. Sam's birth story will be coming eventually. It's just taking a little while to get it going because I'm sure that you can see by my face we are exhausted, and I think doing this like just vlog style, holding it, will be a little bit better. So let's get into it. I know we haven't told you guys a lot. Oh, I have my notebook down here so I can remember. We haven't been able to really tell you too much about his birth story, but like quick recap is basically I had a 4th degree tear that happened naturally because of his big giant head coming real fast. And if you don't know what that is, it's basically a complete tear hole to hole. And then I had to have pretty major reconstructive surgery down there. They wouldn't tell me how many stitches because I don't think they counted, but they used 4 full surgical thread things. That's the only information I got. So it is pretty intense there. And I am on pretty strict restrictions on what I could do physically. I cannot really walk anywhere except for around the house and to and from doctor's appointments. And they said that I asked like when I should be able to feel good enough for it to be able to handle going on just like a walk around the block of my neighborhood, and they said it won't be until at least 3 weeks. And I can't pick up anything heavier than my baby. So if that kind of tells you a little bit, my birth and recovery is much more rough than I could have ever anticipated, and they did predict that my recovery will be longer than the typical 6 weeks. But we'll see. So let's get into what postpartum is. So these postpartum videos, I don't know how often or how regularly I'll do them because I don't really know how necessary it is going to be to do them, but I'll give you guys some things. So if you are pregnant or if you're going to be a first-time mom, please just know that I have a feeling that my birth and recovery might be a little bit more intense or difficult than what is normal. So don't get nervous or scared. But honestly, I think I'm handling it pretty well. So there's nothing too traumatizing. So let's get, oh, and warning, there's probably going to be some TMI information. So if you are grossed out by things easily, just a warning for this one. Okay, so at the hospital, I was very much out of it for a while because I was on the epidural, and then they upped the epidural a ton because I absolutely did not want to be put out for the surgery, which is what they were going to do, is basically wheel me into the OR and like put me out for the surgery. But I did not want to do that because I have had surgery once before, and I'm still haunted by waking up from anesthesia. It was terrible for me. So I did not want that. So what they said they could do it and see if I could handle it is they like way upped the epidural that I was already on, and they would just basically do their surgery, stitch me all up and stuff while I was still awake, but in the hospital. So that's what I did. So so because of that, I had like an intense amount of like meds all pumped through me. I feel like through a lot of the first afterbirth and things like that, I wasn't very aware of my situation and what was going on around me, and I needed a lot of help. Like they put the catheter back in me because it was like they have to have the catheter for the epidural, and they put it back in me because I was having like there was no way I was going to be able to walk around when like it was typically able to. And then eventually it was the next day, or the next afternoon, because he was born at 11:48 at night, I was able to get up with help, and just getting up, going to the bathroom, and coming back and repositioning myself. Oh my gosh, it was exhausting. It was super, super hard, and it was exhausting. And on top of like the legs being numb and stuff like that, I suffered a ton of blood loss. I think they said it was about three times as more blood loss than what is typical. So I was extremely weak as well. So there was talk about blood transfusions and different things, but thankfully I was really lucky where I didn't need anything super intense, other than they were like making sure I was getting extra iron and those different things. So so thankfully those two issues were manageable. I just felt extra weak from that one. So one thing is that the bathroom care, I'm going to have a separate video about all the things that I've loved about postpartum supplies, because those are lifesavers. But just going to the bathroom, just pee, took me at least a minimum of 10 minutes. And that's like in the bathroom, not even counting like getting up, getting there, going back. And part of it was that they had this regimen, which I then followed in the hospital, of the different things that I needed. So like I had the mesh disposable underwear, which I then transferred. When I got home, I got different kind, and I like this other kind better, but I'll tell you about it. And then it was like huge pad, like the whole thing pad. Then a really thick ice pack, and then some, I think they're called tucks, they're like witch hazel things, and then the dermaplast spray, and then you have to use a peri bottle, which is like a squeezy tube thing. Oh, the squeezy tube that they give you at the hospital, I do not like at all. Like the kind that you buy that I think it's called by Freedom Mom, that has like the angle thing, so much better. Because I'm still like, I'm going to be using this peri bottle for a while, just because I have to. And the reason why I use it is to like protect my stitches, essentially, because I'm all stitched up like crazy down there. And anyways, so then you have to use the peri bottle to clean yourself, and then you could use a little bit of toilet paper to like try to tap, but that is scary, let me tell you. It's way better now, like towards the end of the week it's way better, but like when you're in the hospital, it's super scary. Thankfully, I think I still had some of the epidural still a little bit in me, or I had something, because the pain, like, thankfully the pain has never been excruciating or unbearable. Like labor pains, definitely a lot worse than any of the recovery pains. It's just like, it's just more like I'm very sore, and it's very exhausting, and there is some pain, but it's not terrible. Even with all these things that I'm going through, it's not terrible, and it's definitely not unbearable. At the hospital, they also gave me this thing called a waffle pillow, and it's like a squishy pillow, and it is amazing. I bring it everywhere. If I have to go to the doctor, I bring it for the car. I'm carrying this like thing, which once again, I'll show you in that other video that eventually I'll be making for you. And it is amazing. It's amazing. I can't sit on anything basically without this waffle pillow. It's awesome. So I had that. And then also, these are all things that I'm talking about that happened in the hospital. Then I'll talk about like a little bit more. One thing that was really uncomfortable, but I think helped a lot, was that the nurses were very intentional about, after my birth, and it's crazy, like really pushing on my stomach to like contract my uterus to make it go down in size. And I think that really helped, and it really worked. I don't know what exactly was the cause, but my bleeding, it got like towards the end of the week, got to a much more manageable level where I'm not like leaking all over the place or I'm not bleeding all over the place and things like that. So, so I do think it was very helpful. And also one thing that I remember more in my gallbladder surgery was when I had my gallbladder surgery, like it felt like weird and loose on the inside, like because of my missing organs, and it's tiny, you know, but I haven't felt such a weirdness inside me. Like it didn't feel like a bunch of things were like loose and just like hitting on sides or whatever. Like I felt tighter, which is really, really nice. So even though it was annoying, like I'm glad that they did it, and I think they did a very thorough and good job. Oh my gosh, breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is so hard. At least it is for me. I don't know if it is for everybody, and I don't get it. Like, I do not get why something so natural is one of the hardest things in the entire world for me. So I have, once again, TMI. So if you're related to me, or if you know me in real life, I'm sorry if this is weird. You could skip this next part if you want to, but because I kind of feel weird talking about it, but it is important. I have flat nipples, which makes it more difficult to breastfeed. And so they gave me a nipple shield to help, so Sam will be able to breastfeed. And oh my gosh, breastfeeding, super painful. And like, I am so surprised. People are not gentle with boobs and with nipples when they're trying to like help you or show you things. And but what they were teaching me or showing me definitely worked, but it was like, it was painful. Like almost everything for a while about breastfeeding was painful and hard and emotional and difficult. So I had, the nurses were helping me, then the lactation consultant came in and was helping me. I was so like, I'm really, really bummed because I was so extremely out of it. The lactation consultant came on our last day at the hospital, and I was so exhausted, and I felt like the lack of sleep and everything was really starting to hit me then, because I retained very little of what she was trying to teach me. And I'm so sad about that, because I'm sure that some things would be able to help. I do have an appointment with the lactation consultant, but it's not until Friday of week 2. So still a while for that one. But yeah, that's the hard thing. That's one of the hard things is I don't know if everybody is so out of it, but I was so out of it. And then Eric was so out of it soon, I'll explain soon, that I just felt like I was getting so much information that was really important and could have been really helpful to make this first week better or easier, but I just couldn't, I couldn't contain it in my mind. Like, and I still don't, it's not coming back. Like, I have no idea. They do give you tons and tons and tons of like papers and stuff to read, but I just feel like a lot of the practical techniques of like people coming in and helping me, especially with breastfeeding, it was all gone. Like, it was all gone. The only thing I remember is the nipple shield, and I have been able to breastfeed because of it, but it's very, it still is kind of painful. It's getting better, but still is kind of painful. And then, so what was happening at the hospital was, I believe it was the first night, yeah, it had to be the first night, is, Sam, my baby, still had amniotic fluid in his lungs, and so Eric and I were trying to get some sleep. Sam was in the little bassinet that's at the hospital, and then he made a sound that sounded like he was choking, and Eric was able to, thank goodness, Eric was able to jump up, because I still can't do anything anywhere near normal speed, much less fast. But he was able to like jump up, and he turned Sam on his side, and like Sam spit up a bunch of amniotic fluid. And that cause Eric to go into a big panic, and that really triggered some sort of anxiety for him. And so yeah, he was just really scared. And it is normal for babies to have amniotic fluid, but Eric couldn't get past the idea of Sam possibly choking. And so from that point on, we were just starting to get into trying it, but one of us had to be up with him at all times for even when he was sleeping. So we were trying to take shifts, but that didn't work very well. So that's part of the reason why both Eric and I were exhausted, is because we both couldn't get sleep even if Sam was sleeping. So all of those things are what was happening at the hospital. And I'm kind of working on, I'm talking about the physical things first, and then I'll talk about the emotional things afterwards, because there's that. When we got home, my pain management was actually pretty okay. I can tell when I push myself physically, and it just means I could tell when on the days that I have to take Sam to a doctor's appointment, or when I'm walking a little bit too much around the house. And walking around too much at the house, it's like barely anything, and it still is a little rough. But if I'm good about taking my meds and like keeping up with it, then I am okay. I definitely have to be careful about where I sit and the positioning of when I sit, especially getting in and out of the car. Car is hard. And standing too long makes me tired or makes me weak. So it's hard, because I know a lot of babies really like to be walked around when they're trying to be comforted, but I just can't. I can't really do that right now. And I went almost all of my pregnancy without having any pimple or acne problems. And then both Sam and I think, are having hormonal acne problems. And most of mine are on my body. And they're very painful. They're annoying and painful, and it's so weird. And then I don't know if you could tell because of how dirty my glasses are, I also have a sty, which is like an eye pimple in this eye. Can you see how that's a little bit swollen? And that's super annoying. But yeah, it is really annoying. And swelling. Oh my gosh. My swelling is intense. So especially in my feet and my legs. I tried to bend down, just bend down to go get something, and the movement of my foot and my ankle, I thought my foot was going to explode when I did that, because it feels like water balloons that are going to explode under pressure. I legitimately thought that I was going to have no more feet because they were going to explode. So the swelling is intense, but my doctor said that was pretty normal. Bathroom, constipated for a full week. Very, very scary. Even though I am definitely on stool softeners, laxatives, all those things. So the doctors were very, reminding me constantly that I need, this might be gross, but I needed to make sure I have soft poop because of my surgery that I had. And so it's pretty nerve-wracking about that. And I was really nervous about taking a shower for the first time, so I don't even want to tell you how long I waited to take a shower, because it's disgusting, and you may not even want to ever come to California or any state that I am, because you would be worried that I didn't take a shower and I would smell up the whole state if I told you how long it was before I took a shower. So Eric did help me the first couple of times while my parents were holding Sam, And it was just because like I still was feeling very weak and I didn't want to fall getting in or out of the shower. But after maybe 2 or 3 days of him helping me, I was able to gain confidence and feel better about taking a shower by myself. And my gosh, it did help me feel a lot better. And now I am consistently, I think I'm taking a shower every day. I'm pretty sure. Oh, brushing your teeth when you're a new mom. It's like, when do you brush your teeth? It's so like, it's not that I don't have time to brush my teeth. It's just time just doesn't make sense anymore. Anyway, so those are all of the things that affected me physically. So now let me move on to talking about the emotional. All right, so at the hospital, like things that affected me emotionally was at first, right after he was born, I was so thankful. I did get some skin to skin time, but it was very limited skin to skin time. I have no time reference at all because I just don't know it, because they had to do surgery and they had to take care of me really quickly because I was just losing a ton of blood and I really didn't want to get operated on. So I did get skin to skin, but it was pretty limited. I think I was doing okay. Like, I wasn't crying, I wasn't losing it, I wasn't having a ton of anxiety from that one. And one thing that I do think that helped me a lot was when they were actually doing the surgery, they put him, like once they evaluated me, they also like had to take care of Sam too. But it was, I think it's one of the most bonding things that has ever happened to me is when I was doing the surgery. And the surgery took a long time, probably like, well, I know way over an hour, probably like an hour and a half or 2 hours to do this surgery on me. They put him on me to help basically distract me from the pain of getting stitched up down there, you know. And that was an insane, such a special moment because I just felt so connected to me because of how much he was helping me. Like, he was really, really helping me. It felt like it was just super special because he was helping me get through something really difficult. And that was really special. And at the hospital, I was definitely dealing with some nervousness because I was so weak and I just felt like I wasn't learning how to be a mom. Like, I wasn't able to learn how to be a mom, and I'm not very confident at all with babies. So I was dealing with nervousness about the very basics of things, especially since it was so hard to move. So I couldn't be with him during a lot of like the checkups that they had because he was at the bassinet. Eric would go over and he's awesome with Sam. And then I was really, 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 at the hospital, I was having the starts of feeling incompetent and really struggling with those feelings because swaddling I was terrible at, and the nurses made it look so easy, and I still don't understand why I'm so bad at it. Okay, I gotta switch arms a little bit. And then also because breastfeeding was and / is so difficult, and then also they had me start pumping or get in the practice of pumping after every feeding to help my milk come in, because that was going to be really important. Because if you suffer massive blood loss, there could be issues with different things with breastfeeding, and so they really wanted to give me a good chance and a good start, which I appreciate with breastfeeding. And so anyway, but there was nothing, like, because there wasn't really anything to come out. Like, maybe there was like a little bit of like colostrum condensation that I would just like wipe and then try to get it on his lips or anything like that. So I just felt very incompetent, and I was struggling, feeling like I was a bad mom already. That was really hard, but I was able to kind of keep it together while we were in the hospital. So he was born on late Saturday night, 11:48, and then we got discharged, I think it was Monday afternoon. So now the rest of the things that I'm going to tell you is all about the emotional aspects of postpartum from when I got home. So the first day, oh my gosh, the first day coming home was like a nice little high. I was so happy to be home. I was so proud to like introduce him to my parents, because if you don't know, like, we're living with my parents right now. So we didn't have to worry about quarantine or anything like that. And so it was just such a special, special day to bring him home. And then, oh, and then one thing that I was really proud of was because I started to feel like I was doing something right, because I was able to push myself and not get a lot of sleep, like at all, for a while to take care of him. And that made me feel good, because I was pretty insecure, or I was very worried, because before, sleep was like the #1 thing that I needed, and I realized that I can go without sleep if my baby needs me. So that made me feel a little bit better that I was able to... Oh, I might have heard him. Oh, I did hear him. Eric is with him. I'm going to go check. Back. Eric got Sam. He's doing... Well, Eric was with Sam the whole time, but he's doing fine. Sam is just learning how to be a person. Alright, so I was really proud of myself, because I was able to push myself to get to take care of him, even with extreme lack of sleep. But one thing that I learned throughout the week, I can't remember what day it was, but I definitely do need more sleep than what I've been getting. I was getting, for a while, 2 hours or less than 2 hours a day, and that just wasn't, it's just not sustainable. And I was getting to the point of exhaustion where I was physically shaking and trembling, and I was really, really scared because of that. Like, I felt like I was losing control of my body, and I didn't know what was happening to me. And then, so Eric forced me to go to sleep, and then I woke up. I think I got 2 hours then, and I woke up and I felt better, and the shaking went away. But it was like a really, really scary and dark time. And if you guys are Christians, that was probably one of the lowest points in my life, where I just felt so unbelievably weak in all aspects, in every part. And while I was trying to fall asleep, while I was really, really scared and not knowing what was going on, just Bible verses, it was, the Lord is my strength and my shield, like that was just on repeat. I wasn't even trying to remember anything. Like, I was just so scared, but that kept on coming over and over, looping in my head, looping in my head, looping in my head. And it just made me really thankful for the time that I spent memorizing scripture when I was a kid and stuff like that, because soon the fear went away, and I was able to just rest. And then eventually, like, my body started trembling and things like that. And it was a crazy time, but just feeling God be close to me during that time and help me was incredible. So breastfeeding and pumping was very hard emotionally. I dreaded it because of the pain, that's for sure. I have red, cracked, bleeding, super sensitive nipples. And you know what's really annoying, but I totally get, is you can't find pictures of what different things look like on the internet, which, once again, I understand why. There are people who would not use it for educational information. Like, I want to use it for educational, but like, I would like to know what different things look like, because I was like, oh, do I have like clogged ducts? Do I have like all these different things? But there's no pictures, and like, it's just descriptions. But it's like, I wanted pictures. Once again, I understand, but it was a little bit frustrating when I was trying to figure out, like, is this just normal or is it not normal? But it was really hard. Um, and and so pumping, they very much wanted me to do pumping still, and it was emotionally so hard because breastfeeding was one of the things I was looking forward to most in this newborn stage, because it just felt like such an incredible way for Sam and I to be able to connect to one another, and I was really excited about it. But pumping, I just felt so far away from him and disassociated with him. Even though I would be sitting in my rocker, Eric would be sitting on this couch that I'm sitting there, he would have Sam, like we would try to be interacting, like I just felt so emotionally far away from my baby that, like, it's even hard talking about now. Like, it was just really like, it was just really hard, pumping was, and I don't know why that was triggered for me, but it definitely was. And so it was really, really hard. And it just wasn't something that I expected at all. I was really struggling with feeling incompetent in a lot of ways. For whatever reason, diaper changes freaked me out, and I just felt like I couldn't do a good job. Eric took over most of those things, and then I just felt like everything was hard. There was nothing easy. Like nothing I was doing, I didn't feel like I was doing a good job in anything. Like breastfeeding, not doing a good job. Pumping, not doing a good job. Diaper changes, not doing a good job. Like, trying to get him to fall asleep, not doing a good job. Like, I just felt like a terrible mom, and it was really, really hard. And then it was also hard because I was recovering, and so Eric was doing, which was great. Eric was doing so much and a lot, but I felt like I wasn't growing at all. Like, I wasn't gaining any sort of confidence. So it was just like days of me feeling bad about myself. And I didn't give myself a chance to grow at all because I was letting Eric do a lot of the things, like the diaper changes and things like that. And then what happened was we came home Monday. Wednesday we had a doctor's appointment for Sam, and Sam lost too much weight. So they put him on a strict regimen for food, which included supplementing with formula, which I don't like. I definitely believe in the fed is best kind of thing, and everybody's journey is different, and as long as we're taking care of our baby, that's what's important. But I was really struggling because breastfeeding was just something I really, really wanted to be able to do, and it was going to be something for like him and I. And so we were on a strict feeding regimen and included supplementing with formula because he needed to start gaining weight, and that was really hard. Really hard. And then also another thing was that I'm pretty sure the formula was messing a little bit with his system because he was getting a lot more painful gas, and so he was struggling more with that, which broke my heart. But fortunately my milk did come in, and in about a day or so I was able to pump and actually get something because my milk came in. It took a while for it to be like significant, but I think it was maybe only a day and a half where we were supplementing with formula before that. And that made pumping a lot easier for me because it was actually like doing something. And it also helped me feel more connected to Sam because even though like, he was like breastfeeding and then after breastfeeding supplementing with a bottle, but at least it was like my breast milk. And so it helped a little bit with that connection. But that schedule that they had us on was unbelievably draining emotionally and physically. It was really, really hard for us, for both Eric and I. And so we had the appointment Wednesday, then Friday they came in and checked, and he was back, like he gained weight, so they were happy with it. So basically now it's just it was feed on demand or every 2.5 to 3 hours, but we don't have to do the supplemental things, which is awesome. So sadly, even though Friday was a really good day, I feel like that's because that's when we got the good news. I feel like that's when the baby blues really start to hit. Like, I was having it, but then I couldn't stop crying. Friday morning, Sam started, I don't know if it's cluster feeding, but he's still doing it now, where he takes forever to feed. Like, it's like almost non-stop, easily. I think the first day was 3 to 4 hours. He was like on me, burping, tried to fall asleep, didn't, needed more food, like constantly eating. And so I was having a hard time because I was just feeling like a cow. Like, I just felt like the only connection we were getting was because he was feeding on me. Like, I wasn't providing any comfort. I wasn't like anyways, I was really struggling with the baby blues. I think I might still be, but I think it is getting better. I was really, any little thing that I could think of that would have me label myself as a bad mom, I was labeling myself as that. I was crying over everything. And it was hard because Sam couldn't be near me without wanting to eat. Like, he couldn't hear my voice. He couldn't do anything without wanting to eat. But one thing that really helped with the baby blues is doing skin to skin. So even if that meant that we were eating and then I did what I called like the slide. So like, I was eating, try to burp him and then slide, and he would just be on me. That skin to skin is still a miracle worker for, I think, for him and me. It was awesome. Another thing is that Eric was really getting tired at this point in time because he's been doing so much. And so what I did was that I started to force myself to learn and to get practice doing different things, like the diaper changes, other things I can't remember right now. But as I forced myself to practice more and more, I got more competent, and so I started to feel better about different things. So I'm at this point where things are still very hard. Breastfeeding is still can be painful. It's better, definitely better. The exhaustion is crazy. Like, sleep is difficult, but it is better and it is doable. And I just love him so much. Like, Eric and I were talking, the first week was the best week of our entire life. It was absolutely, without a doubt, the hardest week of our entire lives, but it was also the best, and we just love him so much. Alright, this has been a long video. I hope it's not too rambly because, like I said, my brain is rough. But thank you guys so much for being with me in this journey. Please remember that everybody's journey with pregnancy and with birth and postpartum is different. So yeah, it's hard, but my story isn't your story. You know, you'll have your own story, and maybe it'll be different than mine. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.